Yo, what is up, everybody? So let's go back again. Another chapter from our new horror story. Remember to use the links in the description below. Show love to the author. Like, comment, and subscribe. The spaghetti was delicious, and the adults downed a few glasses of wine with the food. Jenny and Carl got orange juice. Emily saw with a joyful heart that the family was together again, and not only physically. Eve joked a lot and talked a lot while smiling. Emily felt better than ever. She didn't think she could bring them together so quickly, but now it seemed that she was successful. She reached for Steve's hand, which was across the table, and squeezed it. Steve squeezed back, then winked at her. Emily smiled again, then decided that the children have to go to sleep. The kids agreed to go back to the upstairs bedroom. Steve assured them that the spiders should not be a threat anymore, because he killed most of them. Tomorrow, he will finish the job and he will eradicate the remaining ones, if there are any left. After the adults left, Carl was still somehow reluctant to fall asleep. But Jenny reassured him that there was nothing to be afraid of. Emily wanted to take advantage of Steve's good mood, so after they slid under the covers, she immediately began kissing him. He returned their kisses, and soon they were lost again in each other's arms, just like on their wedding night. When the passionate loving was over, Steve shambled into the kitchen to drink water. His throat was dry from the alcohol and other pleasurable exercises. He switched on the light and looked straight at the basement door. From the corner of his eyes, he saw something move there. It was small and black, and it disappeared quickly into the cracks. Don't worry, I'll take care of you tomorrow. Goddamn parasites. After drinking a hefty amount of water, he went back into the master bedroom. Emily was already half asleep. He too fell asleep in a few minutes after sliding under the covers. His dreams were not peaceful, however. Steve dreamt of being in a hole in the ground. It looked like a grave, and spiders were all around the hole. He lay there motionless, couldn't move. As the spiders were approaching and threatening to crawl all over him, he tried to move. He tried desperately to get up and run away, but somehow couldn't. It was like his body was dead, but not his mind. The spiders reached him and began crawling on his legs. They then went higher, covering his body and his face. He felt them entering his nostrils, crawling all the way into his throat, and trying to eat their way out of his brain. Some of them even tried his eyes, which were open. Steve felt their small jaws gnawing at his eyeballs. Steve jerked away with a loud gasp and realized that it was not a dream. The spiders were real, and they were crawling all over him and his wife. He screamed, jumping out of bed, and began frantically brushing them off his hands. Emily woke up too. When she noticed the swarm, she did the same. She was much more hysterical, however. God damn it, get off me, fuck! Steve shouted, and then Emily shouted something similar. The hairy spider legs touching their skin was awful and disgusting. They managed to brush most of them off, then Steve ran to the switch to turn on the light. They now saw that the room was full of them, crawling on everything, even the ceiling. One fell straight into Steve's face as he was looking up. He brushed it off quickly. Oh my God, what is happening? I don't know, but we have to get the kids and get the fuck out of here. Steve jumped to the door, opened it forcefully, then they both ran out. Outside their room, it was the same. Only when they reached the stairs, they saw the infestation didn't spread upward yet. Most of the spiders were on the lower part of the staircase. Steve led the way, and they reached the children's room in no time. The frantic parents startled both Jenny and Carl. What's wrong? What happened? Jenny, we have to get out as soon as possible. But why? I'm scared, said Carl. Don't worry, we'll get you out. There are lots of spiders downstairs, but we'll get out right now. Daddy, you said the spiders were dead. I know, son. Some of them survived. Now let's go. Emily picked up Carl because he was lighter. Steve picked up Jenny, and they rushed down the stairs. Both kids began to cry when they saw what was waiting downstairs. Their skin erupted in goosebumps, and their breathing became fast and shallow. The parents headed straight for the front door. Despite the large number of spiders there, they were determined to escape. Spiders or no spiders, they had to get out. When Steve opened the door, Emily screamed. Jenny and Carl did the same thing when they saw it. Steve just stared in disbelief for a few moments. The doorway was completely webbed with the dense spider silk. In the middle of it, there stood the largest spider they have ever seen. It was about 3 times the size of the one they faced on their first day at the house. Oh my God, Steve, what are we gonna do? I don't know. What the fuck? I have never seen. Please do something. Stop whining, please. Just stop it. You're not helping. Emily began to cry. The children too. Steve felt his anger and frustration rising. He looked around quickly to see if the windows were covered as well. They were. Hundreds of smaller spiders crawling all over the webs weaved on the windows, the doorway. Oh my God, what are we gonna do? Dad, please get us out of here, cried Jenny. Steve put her down, but when her feet reached the floor, she cried in disgust. It was full of crawling small spiders. Do something, Steve. Shut up. It was your fucking idea to come here. Now look at this mess. I'm sorry. Fuck it. Steve then rushed to the living room, and he came back with a wooden chair, and with no hesitation, he flung it straight at the spider in the middle of the doorway. The chair hit the web, which vibrated violently. They saw in horror that the spider was still on the web. It just moved up slightly. Several smaller spiders crawled onto the web after the vibrating faded. The chair remained stuck on the dense web. Alright, asshole, I will show you. And then Steve rushed to the kitchen for a bag of insecticide. He found it, although it was hard to move between the thousands of spiders. He had to stop several times to brush them off. Steve also got a lighter, then rushed out again. He went close to the enormous spider with a can of insecticide in one hand and the lighter in the other. He flicked the lighter in front of the can and then sprayed. The roaring flame hit the spider dead on, but a smaller one jumped on Steve from above. His hands jerked to the side and the flame caught the curtain nearby. He began to purr. Steve wanted to put the flames out, but then more spiders attacked him. They most likely retaliated because he attacked the big one, and the giant spider fell down on the floor, then retreated. The hairs on its hideous body caught fire. Emily then had to choose between trying to save her husband or the house. Of course, she chose the former. He tried to free Steve from the spiders, which were now biting him. He screamed, cursed, and squirmed on the ground. In the meantime, flames were spreading. Thick smoke began to fill the house. The children were screaming and crying at the same time. They wanted to desperately for the adults to save the day. The spiders, they began biting Emily too. She screamed in pain while trying to free Steve, who was already bleeding from several bites. Only the desperate cry of her children determined her to reconsider. Mom, they're attacking us, Mom! She now had to choose between Steve and the kids. There was no time to hesitate, so he turned to the kids, and with superhuman strength, fueled by adrenaline, he picked both of them up. With tears rolling down her cheeks, she ran toward the stairs. She didn't even notice the fire, which was already raging. It threatened to spread to the living room, and some thick smoke was already crawling on the ceiling. Steve screamed in pain, then went silent forever. Emily reached the stairs, where she had put the kids down. Her strength faded quickly. He ushered them up toward the upstairs bedroom. The spiders were still not present on the upper floor, but they were spreading. She burst into the bedroom and switched on the light, but when she got closer to the window, she saw it was webbed in too. The spiders were patrolling outside this window. Most likely, they sealed off every potential escape route. What should I do now? What should I do? Then Carl shouted, Mom, the attic! What? We can escape through the attic. The big apple tree. Emily knew now what Carl wanted to say. The branches of the tree grew over the roof of the house. With a little luck, she could help them onto the branches. From there, they could climb down. Even she might be able to do it once, since she's small and agile. The kids helped her place the ladder under the attic's door. A good thing that Steve left it upstairs. They planned on working some more in the attic the next day. Smoke was already accumulating upstairs too. The fire was spreading with great speed, and they heard the crackling, burning furniture. They placed a ladder under the opening and climbed into the attic. Emily searched for the approximate location where the branches of the tree were right over the roof. She moved the shingles out of the way and poked her head out. There were no spiders on the roof as far as she could see. She forgot to take a flashlight with her, so she couldn't see too much detail. What was visible in the moonlight was enough, however. The branches were not far away. She helped Jenny up, then Carl. It was harder for her to get up, but she finally managed. They had to be very careful not to slip. A fall from this height would mean certain death. Emily extended her arm and grabbed the branch. It was not as thick as she wanted it to be, but there was no return now. He helped the kids up, then watched with a racing heart as they began their slow descent. Emily wanted to follow them, but a little later, she didn't want to risk breaking the branch. After the children were at a considerable distance, Emily tried her luck with the branch. It was a long time ago when she climbed trees, and she never did it at a dangerous height. She pulled herself up somehow, but then the branch began to sway. Emily struggled for a few seconds, but then slipped and fell back on the roof. The impact was hard enough to break the old woodwork, and she plunged back into the attic floor where she had lost consciousness. Jenny and Carl screamed and cried, but nothing heard their cries. Only night. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of our chapter.